The ignition switch in my 2001 Ford pickup truck seems to be having an issue. I shouldn't say seems to be having an issue, it does have an issue. It's basically just worn out and sloppy, and sometimes I can't get it to start. I have to wiggle the key around to get it to turn, and it is the mechanism, not the switching apparatus inside. It's the physical lock itself that seems to be the problem, and you can also see that even when the truck is in the on position, you can pull the key straight out. It's just worn out. It needs replaced. It's time for a new one. The kit I found online from Amazon actually comes with 2 door keys as well as the ignition cylinder lock, and that is pretty cool. That way one key still fits the doors and also starts your truck. So anybody wanting to repair their ignition key will probably want to do the kit. It's not very expensive. I'll put a link down below on where I purchased mine, but let's go ahead and see how difficult it is to switch these key accessories out. If you look underneath your steering wheel, you're going to see 4 holes with screws in them that holds this plate on, and then there's a 5th hole that is drilled right here. And you're supposed to be able to take a screwdriver or a stick and shove up and find a divot on the bottom of this mechanism that you can shove in on, and that releases a pin allowing you to pull this key mechanism out. Now, you can do that once you figure out where the divot is and you learn what it feels like, but I wanted to pull this apart to show you just what you're dealing with. So if you look up in there, right where that red wire is, you can see right above it is a shiny spot. That's what you have to shove your stick or screwdriver or whatever it is into to release this so you can pull your key switch out. So once you get your screwdriver up in there and you can feel it, you want to turn your key just to the run position, and then what I like to do is put a little pressure down here on that pin and just kind of wiggle it back and forth until it comes out. Because it's not quite perfect, but if you wiggle it a little bit, you'll get it. Putting the new one in is pretty simple. You also put it into the start position. That allows that pin to be released. And you just shove it on back in. Not that big of a deal. Sometimes you have to rock it and shove it, wiggle it. And there you go. Now you have the new ignition key installed, and it is ready to go. The key won't come out. All is fixed. Now let's replace the locks on the doors. You're going to have to remove the inside door panels. Now there's plenty of videos online on how to do this, so I'm not going to get in detail on how to do it. But basically, these little corner pieces are held on with clips, so you can pull them off with your hands. And you can reach up here with your fingers or a screwdriver and pull up on this panel. And you're going to see that there is a bolt back there. And then if you look in the bottom, next to the courtesy light, there is also a bolt down in there as well. Once you remove those 2 bolts, unplug all the wires, you can lift up on the door panel and it'll come right off. Not going to be able to tell, but there's 2 bolts that hold the door handle on, and to get to those you have to go through this big hole here, and then there's a plug in the door that you can pull and reach back there with a deep socket and an extension. Those 2 bolts will release the door handle, and then you can get to the lock mechanism. Once you pull these 2 bolts out, that'll release the door handle. Now you don't have to remove the door handle, but you need to get in behind it. So we're going to leave all of the rods and stuff attached except for one, and that is the locking mechanism, which is down here. Now I had a problem pulling it off of the rod, so I took a pair of diagonal cutters and just cut it, because we're not going to reuse it, we're going to replace it anyhow. Then over here on the side, there's a retaining clip. You're going to take a pair of pliers and pull that off. So once you pull this retainer clip off, you can see inside that the lock mechanism is now free. We're just going to pull it loose and put the new one in place. So you can see that the new locks are color-coded, red and blue. Quite honestly, I'm not even sure what side is supposed to be right, what side is supposed to be left. I do know that when I pulled this lock out, that you can see the pins that work the mechanism. This hole was straight up, and to me, I'm going to put the new ones in so the hole is straight down. Reason being is if your window leaks or whatever and you get water in there, you really don't want this to hold water, you want it to release water. So I'm just turning mine upside down. It doesn't mean that the key is going to work any different, but that's just how I'm going to do it. So once you put that retaining clip back in there, you can see that the lock won't come back out. It's pretty stable. You want to make sure it works. Mine does. And you can go ahead and hook up the rods and put all the bolts back in the door panel, and you're ready to go. So now that we have the ignition switch in and the door locks are all in, this project is done. And I suppose if you needed to rekey a car, this would be a good way to do that. Or if you were like me and the locks were just sloppy, it's relatively inexpensive. Again, I'll put a link down below for the link of where I bought them from Amazon. I'll put the link down below. But that's all there is to it. If you like these types of videos, please like and subscribe.